Disney and Lucasfilm are currently focused on Star Wars Episode 9, The Mandalorian, as well as 2 other live-action TV series, but not only that, they are also focused on the new Star Wars trilogy. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one aspect about the future of Star Wars that I am truly looking forward to seeing is, of course, exactly what Disney and Lucasfilm plan to do after Episode 9. Now, we do know that one of the big plans is to take Star Wars in a totally different direction after Episode 9 is pretty much done and over with and put in the past. Once the sequel trilogy wraps, they will be changing the entire Star Wars franchise with, of course, the new Star Wars trilogy. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about the future of this franchise when it comes to, of course, live-action TV series and, of course, the new Star Wars trilogy. Now, what's really exciting about all of this is that it's described that Disney and Lucasfilm are using the Roman numeral of 10, or X, for the first film of the new Star Wars trilogy by the creators of Game of Thrones, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. It's described to be a placeholder for now that may become the permanent format for the new trilogy by listing all of them as episodes 10, 11, and 12, since they will be loosely connected to the Skywalker saga. However, at the same time, will not tell more stories of the Skywalkers such as Luke and Anakin. It's described that Disney and Lucasfilm are in the final stages of the branding of the new trilogy, as the script is near to becoming complete, and the Star Wars Episode 10 is being used as a placeholder for the title of the first movie. The first film of the trilogy is set to begin this fall for in-studio shots, where on-location shots will begin in early 2020. The Roman numeral of 10 is being tested as we speak in order to make this trilogy feel like an authentic one that continues the numerical format, which is what fans use to separate a trilogy from spin-off films. However, it's said that Disney also has a backup plan for the numerical format if it doesn't work, and that there is another plan in place, and another proposal is to use one title for the whole entire trilogy and divide them into 3 chapters or parts. So I want to go over a couple of parts about all of this. Now, to me, guys, I don't know about you, but Episode 10 being used for a Star Wars trilogy, which, by the way, is said to take place during the Old Republic, hundreds of years before the events of the Skywalker family. We're talking hundreds of years before The Phantom Menace. So I'm not quite sure if it would really make a whole lot of sense to really list them as Episodes 10, 11, and 12 if it takes place before the prequel trilogy era, especially before Episode 1. Now, it can work. I will say that it's not like it can't work, but it can work if they work their way around it. Now, we do know that this trilogy, by, of course, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, is going to be, like I say, loosely connected to the Skywalker saga, meaning we could have characters like Yoda being involved in that story if it really is indeed going to be placed in the Old Republic, like Star Wars Newsnet and what they said a couple of days ago. I don't know if you guys heard the big news, but apparently this whole entire new trilogy is going to be based within the Old Republic, and that Disney and Lucasfilm want to take Star Wars in a different direction. Specifically, they want to make Star Wars like Lord of the Rings / Game of Thrones when it comes to the scale of these movies, labeling the new Star Wars trilogy in the forms of episodes like Episodes 10, 11, and 12. Which, in my opinion, it's how it should be. I think it's something that really a lot of fans, including myself, are really used to seeing, right? When you think about a Star Wars main trilogy, you think about the numerical system. You think about it as Episode 10 or 9, 8, 7, whatever have you, right? But if you're going to have a brand new trilogy, Disney and Lucasfilm also have a backup plan where they're using a actual single title and dividing it into different parts and or chapters. So a great example is this. They could very well be titling it just simply The Old Republic, and then you would have Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, or, 3 different chapters and so on and so forth. So that's their backup plan in case the numerical system isn't really working out too well, or if they come to a final decision that Episode 10, 11, and 12 just doesn't make sense because it's set in the past. I think that, they should stick with 10. I just feel like I'm not quite sure if it would really make sense since it's going to take place in the past, before the events of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Nonetheless, guys, I am very excited about this new trilogy ever since I heard the news a couple of days ago about it being based within the Old Republic. Hundreds of years. Alright, hundreds of years instead of thousands. That's the big change by Disney, is that they're basically making their own version of the Old Republic. That's what they're toying around with right now, is by changing some key elements. So in the video games, it's thousands upon thousands of years, right? Before, of course, the events of the prequel trilogy. Then now, by Disney and Lucasfilm, they want to make their own version of the Old Republic. One of the big changes is, of course, how long it takes place before the events of the Skywalker family. So we're talking hundreds. That can mean anything like 500 to 800 years. That gives us a great window for showing us a younger version of Yoda and maybe even Yoda's master. And that's the perfect way of, like I say, loosely connecting it to the Skywalker saga, in which it will be. This new trilogy is going to be based within the actual mythology and, of course, connected to the Skywalker saga in a very light way. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.